It has moved from a first come, first serve to a, where there's a date certain for deadlines, and then there's a scoring for trying to have some scoring for the applications that are made to the Clean Energy Development Fund. We're, as you mentioned, Vermont Yankee has contributed to that fund, and also our congressional delegation with the Aero stimulus money. We need to continue to expand, find ways that are sustainable for renewable energy projects in our state. The feed-in tariff, it would be my hope that we could continue the feed-in tariff. But economics matter, and when you look at a senior citizen, and as you explain, a solar project at 30 cents a kilowatt, and when maybe she's paying on a fixed income 11 cents a kilowatt, we need to be mindful of the impact on dairy farmers, a senior citizen, or someone who's in the manufacturing. So I'll continue to advocate for renewable energy solutions, and we'll continue to make it a priority for investments as we have in the past.
Well, the challenge is if we don't reorganize the fund, there isn't any money to hand out. So this is what I do as governor. I'm going to make sure that the fund is stronger than it's been. How are we going to do that? Right now, we charge Vermont Yankee and Louisiana a generation tax for every kilowatt that they generate. When it shuts down in 2012, that tax is gone. As governor, I'm going to implement a high-level nuclear waste storage tax. It seems fair to me that any community in any state that's going to take high-level nuclear waste and store it in their state should be reimbursed by the company or the federal government. They can take their pick. That's not my problem. It's really important that we do that. So I will, and we'll use that money to ensure, some of that money, to ensure that the fund stays strong and helps us subsidize further renewable projects so that we can meet the promise that I've outlined of being the renewable energy state. First one up, first one to win.
Lieutenant Governor, would you support a storage tax?
Consistent with our ability under the law, I would aggressively pursue any possibility to get compensated for the right to store spent waste on the banks of the Connecticut River. Before I make a promise about something like that, I would have to make sure that is a possibility, but I certainly would explore all possible options to make sure that we could continue to fund the Clean Energy Development Fund.
Who would be your next Commissioner of the Department of Public Service? Mr. Shumlin.
I know it's not characteristic, Mark, but I'm not going to answer your question. And I'll tell you why. I'm running for governor. That's what I'm going to focus on. I think it's a very bad idea for me to start to outline anyone that I might be thinking about for any job. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking you to understand and have confidence in my judgment to pick the best people to run the agencies that I can possibly find. And let me tell you what I won't do. I won't ask what party they are. That's a promise. Couldn't care less. I will insist that my cabinet reflect the diversity of Vermont. We will have men and women. They will be smart and capable. They will be skilled. They'll get the job done. If you ask me if I thought the current commissioner was a candidate for the job, I can tell you clearly the answer is no.
There's much that I agree with my opponent on his answer. First of all, I don't think it would be a respectful way to start naming people. I certainly don't expect to do that. I do agree that we have the opportunity to pick, I would have the opportunity to pick people that represent the diversity of our state, especially people from southern Vermont. And it would be important to name people from all across the state, and people who have a track record for being able to work in a collaborative way, in a way that would have a proven track record for bringing people together. Vermonters care very deeply about energy issues. It would be someone who has a great background and, more importantly, a great perspective of the opportunities that lay before us as a state. So someone who has proven the ability to work well with others, to collaborate, has experience, but also has a vision. And that's the type of person that I would seek out to serve, not just me, but to serve you as the next Commissioner of Public Service.
And is that a job you see as being independent of the governor, or are you telling the commissioner what to do? Lieutenant Governor?
Well, hopefully there'd be a conversation. I mean, it would be someone that, some person that you would have trust to be able to, like a good co-pilot, say, hey, Captain, this is the wrong course of action. It's the wrong way to go. I would encourage dialogue and conversation, and people, some person who would be strong in their convictions, someone who would speak out, but hope, as I said, someone who would be collaborative. It would be important to be collaborative with people in this room, but also people in the General Assembly and the utilities for our state. And there are people, as I look across this room, that could fill that expectation even as I look out here today. So it would be someone that would be an independent thinker, someone who would be able to work as a team player, and someone who could be able to serve all Vermonters in addressing these great opportunities that lay before us as a state.
I think Brian hit it on the head. You know, as a manager, I can tell you my style. Having built small businesses, I believe that it's my job to be very clear in articulating the vision, where we need to go. I bet I can count on one hand the number of times I've ever told an employee that they better do it my way. You have to do it collaboratively. You need really skilled people around you. If you've laid out the vision and you have skilled people around you, you rarely have to say to somebody, get it done my way. That's my experience.
In 2007, the Governor's Commission on Climate Change found the single most effective way for Vermont to reduce its contribution to climate change would be to slow the conversion of forest land to development and cut that by 50% by 2028. Would you support that initiative goal, and what would you do specifically to make that initiative happen? Senator Shumlin?
Absolutely, I would support it, and this is how. We have the best model in the country to get it done. It's called VHCB. It preserves our farms and forest land. It's the model for the rest of the country. It's been under attack by the Douglas Dubie administration for the last 8 years. They've tried to level fund it. They've tried to take the money away. They want to privatize it. They want to reorganize it. I'm a believer. If I am your governor, there will be a renaissance of the VHCB to ensure that we're conserving our future, our forest land and our farms, so that we will have the bright agricultural future that I just outlined. The forest products industry is incredibly important to Vermont. We can do it right. Habitat protection, incredibly important to Vermont. We will do it right. VHCB is the model. Let's stop trying to take it down and instead work together to build it up.
Well, I own a woodlot, and we face some challenging times as a state. As far as prioritizing, I'm going to put people first with our budgets. We're going to try to make sure that programs like the Vermont Forest and Land Trust are part of our heritage and would be part of our future. We've got to protect people first. We're going to have to make tough decisions in the next year. We face a historic shortfall. Vermonters pay the highest property tax in the country. That affects people that own farmland and woodlots. Vermont farmers, dairy farmers, are getting paid 1970 prices with 2011 costs. So I'm a little bit intrigued. I don't dispute this statistic, but we're losing too many farms. We're close to under 1,000 farms today. So we're going to have to continue to work together to prioritize our funds that we can, to make sure that we help people that own forest land that aren't forced to sell to development. But I don't think there's much conversion. Most of the woodlots that I see, or the fields, I see a lot of fields that are going fallow, turning back to woodlots. But we're going to have to continue to make priorities, make some tough decisions, and as an example, we're going to continue to support current use to make sure that people who own woodlands in our state, the largest owners of our woodlots are private owners, make that a priority going forward.
All right, let me take another minute on this. I'd like you to comment on current use as well, Senator Shumlin.
Let me just first say, I think it's really tough to protect